Hello? Police? There's been a robbery in Milton Keynes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. Is Ian and Thomas with you? As always, it's time for another review of another Oxford United game. Today, the Yellows were away at the Milton Keynes Dons.
That's right, Ian. Away to the Milton Keynes Dons. If you've been following Oxford United recently, it feels like they've lost every single match for the last 6 years. In fact, they've lost 2 of their last, 5 or something like that. But it's the end of the world. It's a must-win game. What did you think of their starting lineup, Ian?
I like your opening segment, I can tell you that much. It was interesting lineup. It was interesting shape because Oxford looked like they lined up 4-2-3-1, which is I was surprised to see them play like that. Not disappointed by it because MK Dons are a very good possession-based side, but I thought this might be a game plan we play more against Peterborough for the next game rather than this one. But Goran and Brannigan played in like the holding role. 4-2-3-1 is what Oxford played, which gave Lee, Barker, and Shodipo as the attacking forward players and Taylor up front on his own. Good lineup. Good to see Barker and Shodipo playing on the same pitch at the same time, so you've got speed going down both flanks. If you look at the MK Dons lineup, we were both really surprised that Jerome and Grigg weren't in the starting lineup. But you've talked about Laird and you've talked about Sermon being players that have come from Manchester United and Bournemouth being excellent players for them. And we know from what we've seen them over the season that they are a good side that's getting better, that like to control games, and this was never going to be an easy match.
That's the starting teams for both sides. We talked about it. How did the match go, though?
A really enjoyable game, I would say. From both sides played well. The first half was much better than the second half, but a 97th minute equaliser means that Oxford did come away with a point when it looked all doom and gloom for so long. It ended. The Milton Keynes Dons won. Oxford United won.
Ian, before we get into the game, I need to very quickly thank our Patreon subscribers. Thank you to PJ Simpson. Thank you to Grandstand Bettors and Matt Uranka. Thank you to Robert Allen. And thank you to Matthew Bowden. Thank you guys so much. We're going to give you shout outs in every video at some point, I promise. And thank you to everyone who super chatted us earlier in the videos. It really makes it worth it. And please join us next week when we live stream. But enough of that. It's 1-1. Ian, what happened in the first half of this match?
What a really entertaining first half, Tom. I'd say if anybody watched that, it was a really good advert for League One football. It was both sides that just wanted to go forward and attack and not really care too much about defence. And it was a really enjoyable open game. Oxford certainly had chances without necessarily creating anything clear cut. And a lot of it did come from mistakes from MK Dons, who continually just kept throwing Oxford lifelines almost from minute 1 right up until the end of the game. And people like Lee, people like Barker and Shodipo found themselves in lots of space. Brannigan found space as well. The only thing we couldn't do is just create chances for Taylor. And he couldn't really get anything clear cut. But Barker and Shodipo were getting lots of space, and maybe their quality just wasn't quite on it. We did talk about Shodipo maybe going off the boil a little bit, and he did look like he lacked a little bit of confidence in this game. But as good as Oxford were going forward, MK Dons certainly worried Oxford's defence as well, and they took the lead in this game. Strange goal. Laird was the main architect of it down the right-hand side, and he caused Ruffle lots of problems, but he did fade as the game went on. But in this first half, he was excellent. He skinned Ruffles on toast was the comment I came up with on a live stream. And but he got inside on the box, and it was slightly fortunate to come out to Sermon on the edge of the box, who shot, I don't think was particularly hard, very well hit, but it found a way into the bottom corner. I can only imagine Stevens was wrong-sighted with a guy in front of him, which they appealed for offside. But watching it back, I feel it's something he should have done better with. But it just felt like a little bit of here we go again with MK Dons taking the lead. And it kind of felt a little bit like games in the early part of the season where Oxford are looking good, but we find ourselves 1-0 down. And you're just like, how the hell are we losing? That's kind of how the first half played out, really. There only really a Elliott Lee volley was the only shot on target, but you felt there was goals in the second half for sure.
Yeah, you definitely felt there were goals. You thought Oxford definitely should have scored more. I think everyone on the live stream was a little bit baffled how they hadn't. You expect a reaction coming in the second half, Ian. What did we see, though?
Yeah, we didn't really get a reaction, not until the very end of the half. I don't think Oxford played very well in the second half until they brought the subs on, really, on about the 70th minute mark. It was like it's like they were very panicked. We thought they were panicked a bit from the start of the match, not
Yeah.
in defence, but in attack, which is, they've gone 3 games without a goal. They're kind of searching for some form. But it got worse the more it went on, and people were like overhitting passes, or like it was, really just trying too hard a little bit, and it was very easy for MK Dons to take the sting out of the game, and it did feel like it was going to just peter away to be an MK Dons win, or they would get a second goal and sucker punch us. But substitutions did change this game, and Winnall came off and then went off injured, and that meant that Robinson was forced to throw Daniel Adgington the third on, and
Indeed.
he was the real defining moment. He had a lot of what's the word I'm saying? He was the defining performance, really, out of all the subs. Like he came on. I talked about MK Dons, architects of their own downfall. Under hit back pass, which Taylor or Winnall wouldn't have got to, but Agyei did get to it, forced the goalie into making a foul, and I can't work out why it wasn't a red card. I think before that, Agyei did have a shot which went just wide of the post as well, which was Oxford probably the best shot they'd had at goal. But then it looked like Fisher really should have been sent off. Agyei was going to get round him, going to have a shot into an open goal. I don't think you can say defenders were covering. But so that's one I think Milton Keynes Dons got away with, but that you can't do much about it now. The free kick didn't come to anything, and the game was petering out. There was an Agyei header as well, which he didn't do well with, and the keeper saved, and it just felt it was going to go to 1-0 MK Dons, but then the referee and the linesman took mercy on Oxford and put 6 minutes on the board for injury time, which was great. And
nothing happened in the second half. How is there that much injury time?
I know, but in the 7th minute of injury time, when there should have been only 6, in the 7th minute of injury time, Oxford put all the doom and gloom of the recent form behind them. They got all the frustration that was building up, and there was a lot in our chat behind them. A very well worked ball from Henry, got the ball back to Ford. It looked like the cross was overhit from Anthony Ford, but Agyei did brilliantly to win the header. He hung in the air really well, headed it across back to Elliott Lee, who I thought was Oxford's man of the match. I thought he had a fine game and definitely was like the clear deserving of the equalising goal. Headed it in from about 6 yards. You will see my reaction. I'll put it in right now. Right. Anthony Ford gets the ball out wide to Henry. Back to Ford with a chance to cross into the box. It looks like it's going to be too high, but Agyei's won it, and Oxford have scored! Yes! Come on!
Woo! Wow! I can't believe we're celebrating a 1-1 draw, but yes! Come on, the boys!
And all in all, Tom, just relief at the end, and we took draws sometimes feel like wins, and I'm going to say this one does feel like a win.
It was a fight. They got the draw. I think everyone was happy with the draw. I think pre-match, I thought they would lose, and we talked about it. And I think at the end of the day, MK Dons are looking like a playoff caliber team, and to draw 1-1 with them is a good result. We talked a lot about this game. This is more than we've talked about in a match because there was so much that happened. I'm not going to ask you 50 questions. With this draw, there are 17 matches left in the season, which is something like 51 or 52 points available. How are we feeling as an Oxford supporter, Ian?
A lot better, a lot more positive than I was like
10 minutes
ago before the goal went in. But yeah, it's a long season and there's peaks and troughs. And Oxford are in a bit of a rut. If we'd lost that game, we come into a game against Peterborough, then we play Charlton. So it's not inconceivable that the losing run could have continued. But we haven't. Like what we did against Portsmouth earlier on in the season, where we got a 1-1 draw, where it looked like we were going to lose. We've changed the narrative. It reminded me a little bit of Burton last season, where we were on a bad run and Oxford get the equalising goal at the end, and that started something else. So I would say fantastic that we got back into the game, and hopefully that is now gives the players some confidence to know that they're not just going to be like licking their wounds and feeling sorry for themselves when they are chasing a game from now on. They can get results out of it.
And before we go, I have one question for you, and it has to do with hell freezing over, because not only did Jeremiah Sykes make it on the pitch, but Dom Dan Adjington the third came on. I mean, how exciting! Tell me about that.
Yeah. Very exciting, but also kind of it does bring me back to things that annoy me about Carl Robinson. And I'm just going to say there was one other instance where Milton Keynes Don's got away with it, where Taylor chased down a back pass and the keeper hit it off him and it just looped over the bar. So it really felt like luck wasn't on Oxford's side in this game. But I would say, yes, with the Sykes thing and with the Agyei thing, these guys have been frozen out by Carl Robinson and now brought back in. It didn't look like he wanted to ever bring Dan Agyei back in, but he has done now. And you see what an impactful player he can be. This isn't the first time he's rescued points for Oxford or been effective for Oxford in games. I think he's a darn useful player to have in the squad and bring off the bench. And for Carl Robinson, like what he did to Sykes as well, to almost like dismiss them and like almost like act like they're never going to play for the club again. It's a really disappointing to see, and I don't really see the benefit of what he's done there. Like I feel like I don't think Agyei or Sykes are necessarily improved players for that experience. And for me, it's good to see them back because they just add value to the squad. And I think Dan Agyei coming off the bench is a bloody handful for any side. And as you will give him his proper name, Daniel Adjington III. We're both a big fan of him, and it's great to see him back.
It is great to see him back. With that being said, Ian, our time is up. Let me just say that we will be live streaming again next week for Oxford playing, who is it, Ian?
Carlton.
They're playing Carlton Athletic, so join us 2:45 next Saturday. League One predictions come out on a Thursday. Oxford United preview show comes out on a Friday. Oxford United review show comes out on a Saturday evening. Thank you all for joining us. We are on Patreon. Please jump on there, give us a little bit of support. And those that already have, I've already thanked. Thank you all so much. We love you all. Let us know what you think below, and we will catch you next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.